Hi everybody, my name is Abby. I'm here again making another video. Just so you guys know from the start, I always like to say like the same thing in my video to preface it. I am not white. I'm not a biracial woman. I am a black woman living in America, and over the past few years I really started questioning a lot of things in the black community, some things that just don't sit right with me. I always give that disclaimer at the beginning of my videos because for whatever reason, like some people in my comment section, they love to assume that somehow I'm mixed or that I'm white. Apparently, many people can't wrap their heads around the fact that a fully black woman could be attracted to light-skinned men or biracial men. So just for the record, I'm not mixed. I'm not white. I don't know. Just letting you know. Apparently, my voice sounds very white. That's fine with me. But yeah, again, I'm not white. All right, now let's get this out of the way. I just want to like make it very clear before people try to twist what I'm saying. This video is not an attack on the LGBTQ plus men. I'm not coming for anybody who's living in their truth and being authentic or expressing themselves however they want to. That's not my business, and it's not my place to judge anyone for that. This video is about a specific contradiction that I constantly see, especially online. It's about how dark-skinned men are being positioned as the most masculine group in the black community, while light-skinned men continue to be labeled as feminine, soft, emotional, and weak. And yet when I look around, the behavior I see doesn't match that narrative at all. Now, what I'm seeing is a growing trend of dark-skinned men wearing wigs, lashes, and makeup, wearing women's clothing, and acting out this like exaggerated feminine character, especially on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. It's like a full-on performance. And while that's happening, light-skinned men are still the ones being dragged just for existing with a certain skin tone. And it doesn't make sense. And I don't care if you're upset about this video. I will never shut up. I will never, ever, ever shut up. I will constantly question why that is. I think what it is that growing up down in Texas, I lived in like a very, very small town, and I was the only little black girl in a lot of my classes up until I got to high school. So a lot of the colorism that a lot of you guys dealt with, or maybe you heard colorism growing up all the time. I didn't hear that. I didn't experience it. That never got brought to my attention. I don't know why, right? Because now I'm hearing the South is like the most colorist place ever, apparently. But I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up around a lot of people that looked like me. So now as I'm like, I'm becoming an adult, I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things within the black community, I'm questioning it because it is new to me. It's new to me. Growing up, I didn't hear the dark skin versus light skin thing. And apparently it's not new because you guys love to tell me it started during slavery. So I am confused and I'm questioning it. And I hope, these videos don't make you upset. But let's be real. If my videos do make you upset, just know that I don't care. All right? I say that every video. Just know that. I don't really care. All right? So, dark-skinned men have long been seen as the blueprint for masculinity in the black community. Apparently, just by being darker, they're assigned traits like strength, dominance, emotional control, and leadership. We know that is so not true. They're praised for being real men, for being alpha, which is not true. But meanwhile, light-skinned men are constantly having to prove that they're not soft, that they're not weak, that they're not too emotional or feminine. And all of this is based on skin tone. It's not even based on behavior. And a lot of people will come into my comment section and they're going to gaslight me and they're going to pretend like they don't know what's going on. That is something I have noticed in the black community, is everybody likes to pretend like they don't really know what's happening. Everybody's confused. I don't know what that is. We're going to have to talk about that one day. But the reality is that the loudest displays of femininity, that I'm seeing today, it's not coming from light-skinned men. Nope, not the light-skinned men, not the biracial men. It's coming from dark-skinned men. You can say I'm lying. I'm going to show you proof. This whole video will be nothing but proof, okay? They're putting on wigs. They're wearing lashes. They dress in skirts. They're putting on full beats of makeup. They're dancing, voguing, and acting like exaggerated versions of black women. And it's weird. And this is not about self-expression. This is about performance. And it's not a one-off situation. It's a trend. It's a whole wave. It's an aesthetic. And no one is talking about what that means for the way we view masculinity in the black community. Somehow, these performances don't take away from a dark-skinned man, from the dark-skinned man's masculinity. It doesn't take away from that. People laugh, they call it content, and then they move on about their day. But when a light-skinned man wears a pastel shirt, or maybe speaks in a calm tone, he's suddenly labeled as soft or not a real man. Or he might even be made to show off like his toughness. Like, it's like a lot of black men will make them, it's like, show me you're a black man, show me how tough you are, show me that you're not soft. I've heard a lot of these light-skinned men were made to fight growing up in the hood, which is crazy. That's not okay. Now let's go like a little deeper. Maybe let's talk about the history behind all of this, right? During slavery, white slave owners, they would target strong, dark-skinned black men for a practice called buck breaking. This involved, physically abusing them in front of others to destroy their spirit, to humiliate them and break their masculinity. It was just strategy. It was about dominance and psychological control. And they specifically chose dark-skinned men for this because those were the men that were seen as the greatest threat. Now, if you fast forward to today, and, we're seeing a disturbing modern version of that, except this time it's not being forced, it's being volunteered. These dark-skinned men who are supposed to represent peak masculinity are willingly embracing hyper-femininity for clicks, likes, and views. They're turning femininity into like a costume. They're building followings, getting brand deals, and going viral for putting on exaggerated female personas. What used to be seen as humiliation is now being packaged as entertainment. And instead of fighting against the destruction of their masculinity, many are now doing it to themselves for money, which is not empowerment. We've gone from being broken by others to breaking ourselves, and we just call it content. What's even more frustrating is the silence around it. You don't see people calling out these dark-skinned men. And if you did see them calling out dark-skinned men, they wouldn't make it specifically about dark skin, the way that the whole community makes everything negative about light-skinned men, right? They attribute, it's like, oh, that light-skinned man, he's light-skinned, that's why he's doing that. That's a light-skinned thing. You don't see them do that with dark-skinned men. You don't. They're not being labeled zesty, girly, or soft. No, of course not. But the moment a light-skinned man expresses any gentleness or emotion, he's completely torn apart. The double standard is shocking. It's gross, and I really don't like seeing it. It's not even about behavior anymore. It's about packaging. If it's coming from a light-skinned man, it's apparently unacceptable. If it's coming from a dark-skinned man, it gets overlooked. It might even be praised. And here's something else I want to address. Don't bring up white men in my comment section. I know you're going to, but every time a conversation like this comes up, somebody says, well, white men wear wigs and makeup too. Of course they do. That has nothing to do with this. Okay, we're talking about 2025 and what's going on in the black community. I don't care what white people are doing, and you shouldn't either. Okay, if you clicked on this video, I just feel like I'm going to see that in my comment section. Well, what about all the white guys that do it? What about, I could care less. The obsession with white people, it's exhausting. And honestly, it's part of the reason we stayed enslaved for so long. I don't care what anybody says. Too many people were focused on white people instead of trying to escape and build our own community. But it's not about them. It's about us. The truth is that femininity is not the issue. The issue is who's allowed to perform it and who isn't. And as of right now, go look on anywhere, any part of the internet. Just type in light-skinned men. Just do a quick search if you think I'm lying. Right now, light-skinned men are being demonized for things that dark-skinned men are being celebrated for. Let me repeat that. Light-skinned men are being demonized for things that dark-skinned men are being celebrated for. It's hypocritical. Okay, you can't claim to be one of the most masculine while putting on heels and wigs for TikTok. And you can't continue to strip light-skinned men of their masculinity when they're not even ones engaging in this behavior. It's mostly dark-skinned men. It's all about image. People love the idea of a dark-skinned man being masculine. That image is so strong, people will ignore actual behavior just to protect it. Meanwhile, light-skinned men get no grace, no nuance, and no benefit of the doubt. They're like judged immediately, harshly, and unfairly. We have reached a point where the people performing femininity the loudest are also the ones we refuse to hold accountable, while the ones who remain neutral or even masculine in their own way are the ones being attacked. And it's really just about jealousy. That's what it boils down to. We as Black people can't keep pushing this image of dark-skinned men being the standard of masculinity when their actions often contradict that completely. And you can't keep dragging light-skinned men through the mud when they're not the ones dressing up like women and acting out exaggerated femininity online. And you certainly can't keep using white men as a scapegoat to avoid these conversations. I think, this is the result of generations of internalized trauma, projected insecurity, and social conditioning. It's time we start telling the truth. We went from being forced into emasculation to willingly selling it as entertainment. And we don't even see the irony anymore, but I do. And that's why I will continue to say something, whether you like it or not. So before you go labeling another light-skinned man as feminine, you should ask yourself, are you judging based on reality, or are you just repeating what you've been conditioned to believe? And while you're at it, maybe take a look at who's really performing and who's just being themselves. And this isn't about policing how people dress or express themselves. It's about calling out the obvious contradictions that nobody wants to speak on. And I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm just here to say what's really going on in this community. And sometimes the truth makes people uncomfortable. So if it does, just know that you deserve to be uncomfortable. If this video makes you uncomfortable, if the truth makes you uncomfortable, then I don't know what to tell you. I think if we want better for this community, we have to start being honest with ourselves. But to be honest with you guys right now, I don't see this community getting better. This community has gotten worse. But, you don't get to rewrite what masculinity is based on who you like or who you don't like. And you don't get to hide behind silence when the mirror is turned towards you. That's where the conversation really starts. So you know what? I'll end it like this. If light-skinned men are so feminine, then what exactly do we call what's happening right now? What exactly do you call this? This right here, all of this whole video, what has this been? But apparently, these are the men that are most masculine in this community. Let's just all be honest with ourselves. One of the biggest reasons this is happening is because a lot of dark-skinned men are just jealous of light-skinned men. That's what it boils down to. They'll never admit it, but it's true. The reason dark-skinned men are calling light-skinned men feminine is because they're jealous. I hope you know that, and I hope you know that they'll never admit it, but it's true. There's this deep unspoken resentment that shows up in how they constantly try to discredit, emasculate, or mock light-skinned men, because deep down, a lot of them know that light-skinned men are seen differently, sometimes more favorably, and it bothers them. Instead of acknowledging their own insecurities or unhealed feelings about how society views them, they project it. And unfortunately, light-skinned men become the target. They become the punching bag. And the irony is, while they try to tear down light-skinned men for being soft, they're the ones putting on wigs and pretending to be women online. It's not strength. That's projection disguised as masculinity. So yeah, a lot of this hate is just rooted in jealousy. It's about control. It's about ego. It's about not being able to handle that someone else has a different type of power or appeal. So instead of dealing with that, they try to flip the narrative and label that other person as weak. It's definitely obvious. And like I always say, one day, we'll be able to have these conversations and we won't lie to ourselves. But it won't happen anytime soon. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. Hopefully I didn't make you too upset. But yeah, that's what was on my mind today. And I hope you guys liked it. Hopefully you won't give me too much. You won't be too angry in the comment section. You won't give me too much hate. You might. I don't know. But I think this was a great video. Hopefully you agree. Okay, love you. Bye.